Shalom. I'd like to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders and great Millstone who were well. And shalom to sincere, hopeful, like brothers and sisters listening and learning, and to you brothers preaching and teaching the truth through the four corners of the earth. This is Brother Nathan coming out of the GMS Indianapolis camp. Coming back with a quick one, we'll call this AI overview data centers. Okay, so we're gonna go into about data centers, and I got a series of questions I Googled, you know, and get the AI overview on all of them, and get a few precepts and close out. 'Cause, it's a big deal about these data centers, and us of the hopeful elect, we understand that these data centers are going to be used to help with what the MOT to the B, help process and move data, and at a fast rate as the whole world is has dove into AI, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, online services, you name it. It's all become digitalized. You got cryptocurrencies, okay? So all these things are in the need through the use of data centers. So we're gonna start off with first question is, bear with me. Um, what is a data center, right? It says a data center is a physical building or room that houses, bear with me. Let's say that was fine. All of a sudden, start the video. Now I'm sneezing. A data center is a physical building or room that houses computers, servers, and network tools to store, process, and share digital data for the internet, cloud services, and apps. Main parts inside: servers and storage, rows of computers that hold files and run programs, network gear, you got cables, routers, and switches that move data fast, cooling systems, heavy duty air conditioning to stop machines from getting too hot, backup power, big batteries and fuel generators so power never goes out. Common types: cloud centers, run by big companies like Amazon or IBM, letting people rent space on the internet. Enterprise centers, built and used by just one private company for its own work. Co-location centers, buildings where different companies rent space to put their own computer boxes. Right? So that's just the gist of a data center, what's all involved in these things. Because as you're seeing in data centers, they have different sizes from small to great, hyperscale systems. Let's see. Uh, let's start. I'm gonna do this one too. When was the first data center created? The first precursor to a data center was built in 1945 to 1946 to house the ENIAC computer at the University of Pennsylvania. While not a modern data center, it established the need for a dedicated large-scale room that specialized power and cooling. And, early computer rooms from 1940s, 1950s. And mind you, all these are different little test runs and practices, and they've built upon. These are all the foundational things that they've led to these large-scale systems now that we have. So from 1940s, 1950s. We just read the ENIAC facility, 1946, required roughly 1,800 square feet in early forced air cooling. Military and intelligence sites, 1950s facilities were built at the Pentagon, West Point, and CIA headquarters. All right, mainframes and commercial centers from 1960s to 1980s. Mainframe rooms, 1960s. Large companies and institutions built custom rooms for single, massive mainframe or supercomputer systems. Dedicated built in the 1980s, corporations began creating purpose-built facilities specifically to hold multiple growing computer and storage systems. Now into the modern era, 1990s to present. Server farms, microcomputers, and networked servers replace mainframes, lead to the coining of the term data center. Cloud and hyperscale, 2000s to present. Companies like Equinix popularized commercial co-location, paving the way for massive modern cloud and AI infrastructure. Right? So they've had these in the works since the 1940s, working with these, even if it was a smaller scale, but it was big at the time, 1,800 square feet, that's still, you know, obviously now we've gotten up to these things up to 1 million plus square feet, these data centers, right? So it's a major deal, especially here in America, because, matter of fact, that's one of the questions that says, how many data centers are in the United States? The United States has between 4,000 and 5,400 operational and planned data centers, with exact numbers varying based on how tightly a facility is defined, such as major hyperscale sites versus smaller corporate server rooms. Tracking groups like Data Center Map and Cloud Scene lists roughly 4,500 to 5,400 total facilities across the country. Now, obviously, these hyperscale sites, right, which are, million square feet plus type deals, you know, those are really going to be the ones hidden. But all of them, they all work together. It don't matter, medium, large, hyperscale. It's all what showing you with the digital age, you know, and that's quite a bit. It says top states for data centers. Virginia leads the country heavily, anchored by Northern Virginia's massive data center alley, containing hundreds of facilities. Texas ranks second for total operating planned infrastructure. California hosts a massive share of the nation's active tech and cloud footprints. Ohio and Illinois serve as major Midwestern hubs, seeing rapid expansion. Yep. And you might as well throw in Indiana because Indiana all of a sudden is heavy laden with getting data centers set up. You know, let's let's ask how many data centers in the world. There are approximately 12,000 operational data centers worldwide, tracked across roughly 179 countries with specialized inventories like Data Center Map database. Exact counts vary depending on how a facility is defined, ranging from small corporate server rooms to massive mega facilities. Global distribution and breakdown. United States hosts about 38% to 45% of all data centers globally. And there's that roughly 4,400 to 5,400 facilities, making it the largest market by a wide margin. Huh? I wonder why. Because it's the chief place of the MOT to the B. All right. And Revelation 13 on down. Okay. Matter of fact, we're gonna go ahead and get that. We'll finish up the little research questions. Matter of fact, since we're right here, this is Job 5 and 12. He disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands could not perform their enterprise. Right. This is crafty Esau, even the so-called white man. All right. And the rest of the wicked elites of these other nations that are following after the ways of Esau, even the so-called white man. Okay. These devices are going to fail them because actually all this storage of data and all that, that's actually also worked against them, especially on this internet, right? Because it's also pouring out their wickedness, right? With all this digital age infrastructure, right? Well, this has actually been working against Esau, the so-called white man. the rest of these nations. Okay, because now we got saved history. And they, Esau's so proud that they saved all their history. And then they got the whistleblowers of their own people, of course. Like Jeremiah 49, he's made Esau bare. He has uncovered his secret place. He shall not be able to hide himself. All right. So he's ass naked out here exposed. And the real ones know, like just the men of the Lord were blowing the roof off, we're blowing the roof off this place with the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai, his word. Because we know what these data centers are totally for, and that's to run their new world order system with that micro C hip. All right. Just put in your right hand or your forehead. You know, it's gonna be implanted in you. All right, but like I said, yeah, you're using this for one thing to have total control of the people and to have all their information and be as the Most High, right? Have everybody's data, but it also is working against you because it's exposing y'all wickedness. And then what's helping expose the wickedness is what the men of the Lord. All right, because matter of fact, let's get this. Second Thessalonians 2:8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. And what's that? That's the word, that's the wisdom, knowledge, understanding of Yahweh Shem Shai contained in these scriptures, right? The Holy Bible. All right. And who's he doing it through? The men of the Lord, starting with our apostles and elders at Great Millstone on down. All right. It shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Right. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, right? Because Yahweh Shai's coming with the chariots, man. It'll be glorious, raining down destruction upon America, Babylon the Great, man. And taking out the wicked, Esau, the so-called white man, the rest of these nations out of any type of power seat, okay? Because Yahweh Shai's going to come back and save his elect. Man. Yahweh Shai's going to deliver his elect, man. Okay? So, but this word is tearing this place to pieces, man. Because remember, the weapons of our warfare are what? Not carnal. Let's get that real quick. Then we're going to get back into these data centers. This is 2 Corinthians 10:4 for the verse 3. Bear with me. 2 Corinthians 10:3. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. Right, because we're in the flesh, we're in these fleshly bodies, but we're not warring after the flesh, meaning what? We're not just doing things because we're in this flesh. We're not like, oh, we're not gonna go pick up arms, and go fight Esau, Edom, and the rest of these nations to take it back. No, we know that what happens through prophecy, and that's not the way it's gonna go down. We're gonna be saved. All right, we're sheep. We're not made to be the lions yet. Okay, that's coming for another season. Okay, right now we're just sheeps. We're just messengers, and we're all dependent on Yahweh Shem Shai. We're not gonna take matters in our own hands. Okay, we're not gonna be because remember, vengeance is Yahweh Shem Shai. He shall repay. All right. It says, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Yahweh Shem Shai to the pulling down of strongholds." Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of the Most High, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Yahweh Shai Hamashiach. See? All right. So we got the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. All right, which mind you is what? Sharper than any two-edged sword. Hebrews 4:12. All right. So that's how, and that's why this place is being destroyed. All right. Because this is spiritual warfare. All right. So in a spiritual warfare, you got to come with what? The spiritual sword, which is the scriptures. All right. So, the wisdom lies understanding is stronger than any bomb, any gun, because this is what is pushing towards prophecy. Okay, this is what's happening. All right. Because when we speak these words, all right, Lord ain't coming back void on that. We're not just talking just to talk. All right. This is Yahweh Shema Shah activating in us and telling the masses on what's going to happen. All right. While simultaneously, what? We're out here casting out the words of Yahweh Shema Shah like a fishing line, like as bait, and we're reeling in and, you know, trying to get the elect to bite. Okay. And then ultimately, the Lord's going to pick and choose. He's already got since the foundation of the earth of who's going to actually take the bait and be held in captivity and be and held as prisoners of righteousness. Okay. Instead of prisoners of wickedness, which is this world. 'Cause this is one big ass open world prison. That's why they want these data centers, like I said, to keep you even more, hey, we could say institutionalized, because that's a whole thing to this place. Not just in prison, no, you're institutionalized in America, man. Big open world prison. Okay. All right, let's get back to the data centers. It says leading international markets, Germany and the United Kingdom follow with roughly 500 to 550 facilities alongside active infrastructure in China, Japan, and Canada. Now, hyperscale facilities, there are over 1,100 massive hyperscale data centers globally run by major cloud providers like Amazon, Microsoft, and Google, with hundreds more planned or under construction. Yeah, and we already know these tech giants. They're all in the government plans, because they get these government contracts. All right, ain't the actual U.S. government that's got data centers and micro C-hips just ready. No, they got contracted out third party companies that are down with the system. And plus, it's all these elites anyways. They're all part of the show anyways. All these top tech people and they're all tied in anyways. Okay, that's just the reality. All right, it says. Let me look good. Well, how long does it take to make or how long does a data center take to build? Put right. It says building a data center takes anywhere from 6 months to 3 years for physical construction, and 3 to 6 years for the total project life cycle from initial planning to full launch. Exact duration depends heavily on the scale, power requirements, and location of the facility. Edge/micro data centers 6 to 12 months using prefabricated or modular units. Enterprise data centers 12 to 18 months for standard corporate scales. Let's say 1 to 5 megawatts. Is that what that's supposed to be? Hyperscale/AI data centers 24 to 36 months for massive cloud or AI workloads requiring high megawatt capacities. Phase breakdown. Planning and designing takes 6 to 12 months for blueprints, capacity planning, and engineering. Permitting and approval, 6 to 18 months for local zoning and environmental reviews and grid coordination. Construction, 12 to 24 months for civil works, core shell creation, and electrical/mechanical installation. Commissioning and testing, 3 to 6 months to verify cooling, power redundancy, and operational readiness. Main causes of delay: power grid interconnection, waiting on utility providers to supply high voltage electrical capacity, equipment lead times, long waits for critical hardware like large transformers and generators, chillers, and UPS systems, regulatory hurdles, extended local zoning or environmental reviews. Okay, so yeah, and then these things are popping up all over the country, and like I said, they've been doing it. It's just now there's a heavy focus on it in the news. All right, so they didn't get to between 4 and 5,000 data centers overnight. No, this has been these plans have been in the works. It's just now people are like, wait a second, these things are taking over, and like they're finding out the hazards, right? So let's get into that. Data center hazards, question mark. It said the main dangers of data centers include extreme water consumption, massive electricity grid strain, and severe local noise and air pollution. A single large facility can use up to 5 million gallons of water daily and draw power equivalent to tens of thousands of homes. Look at that. So when you're wondering why your water bill is going up and electric bill keeps going up, it's these things. Okay? As they're gradually lifting it up, they're piecing up. These electric companies are, utility companies are they're constantly tagging on another 5, 10, $20. Oh, well, we're going up another couple percent. Gradually ease you into the full deal, which is you're gonna be paying out the ass for utilities. And here pretty soon, don't be surprised when yours could be, hey, Section A, blah blah blah, zip code 46, whatever. It's your turn to get water today. Zip code da da da, your turn to get water. You know, oh, shower, no more showers past 8 o'clock. Just like these third world countries. All right, you got limited time. Sometimes you don't have electricity like that or water consumption like that during certain time periods. Well, welcome to America, man. That's what's about to happen here. It'll be water wars. See, this is by design. Water, environmental and resource impacts, water depletion. Large facilities consume up to 5 million gallons of water a day for cooling, straining local drinking water supplies, especially in water scarce regions. Grid overload. High energy demands from server racks and AI processing drive up local electricity bills and force reliance on fossil fuels. Carbon emissions. Unrestricted expansion adds millions of metric tons of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere annually. Say, like I said, unrestricted. So they're not even trying to figure out, well, if this is gonna be bad or not. They're just like, fuck it, build it. We need it. And that's another thing too. This devil coming down having great wrath, seeing he has but a short time. So he's speeding this shit up. He's got to go fast and get this NWO started, right? So Lord got him just basically, I don't give a damn. We just got to get it done. I don't care if I destroy the earth because that's Esau's spirit. It says air pollution. Emergency diesel backup generators and on-site gas turbines emit fine particle matter and nitrogen oxides that worsen asthma and heart disease. Noise pollution. Industrial cooling fans and HVAC units create constant hum exceeding 80 to 90 decibels, leading to sleep disruption and chronic stress for nearby residents. Light pollution. All night exterior lighting disrupts local wildlife habitats and human circadian rhythms. See? So this is what happens when the wicked are in rulership. What it say in Proverbs 29:2? Let's get that. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. So when the Israelites are back in the power seat, when the earth is ran how it's supposed to be intended to ran, everybody's gonna be happy, including these heathen. Now they gonna get their ass wore out for this 1,000 years of slavery. All right, but at the end of the day, they're gonna live good, and it's gonna be in a righteous society. So they're actually gonna be happy to serve the children of Israel. And it says, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. See, everything this devil does has a side effect. Here it is. Let's say the data centers are good and quote unquote like, oh yeah, it's gonna be able to store everything. We're gonna be able to keep track of file, blah 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 blah, right? The quote unquote positives, right? But now it's fucking up your sleep. All right, the pollutions, fucking with asthma, heart disease, all right, other sicknesses. The constant noise pollution messing with you. Okay, animals going crazy. Now you can't use the water like you used to. All right, now all of these bad things start to happen, right? Well, that's what happens when you got wicked rulership. All right, and we'll get, is that the last one? Yeah. Why do we need so many data centers? We need so many data centers because of the massive growth in artificial intelligence. Every day, cloud computing and digital services. Everything we do online, from streaming videos and saving photos to running business software, relies on physical computers stored inside these buildings. The drivers of growth: artificial intelligence. Training and running large AI models require specialized, power-heavy computer chips, GPUs, that standard facilities cannot support. Every digital use. Constant growth in online shopping, streaming services, mobile apps, and remote work increases global data storage needs. The cloud shift. Most companies now rent computer space in the cloud instead of building their own local server rooms. Right, because now instead of a company spend all this money for their own private little server, they can just rent it off of these mega clouding warehouses, 1 billion square foot uh, data center, which, like I said, rents the space. But here it is, the data centers and stuff go down. Guess what? So does your company, and the rest of the company's tied to it, or AI type, or like a virus breach or something. You notice all these companies that are tied to X, Y, and Z get jacked up over the years. It says infrastructure demands, power needs. Modern AI data centers consume up to 5 times more electricity than older facilities, often requiring as much power as a small town. Damn. And it says high performance computer chips generate intense heat requiring specialized liquid or air cooling systems. Location strategy. Facilities are built close to energy grids and fiber optic internet hubs to reduce delays and speed of data processing. So yeah, if they need all the speed, they're gonna say at 144 by the aperture shot. And that's ultimately for what? Get right to it. It's Revelation 13, verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in their foreheads. And that mark is what? The charagma, which is what? A physical insertion. Okay? And the key word, he says, he causeth all. Right? So he's going to cause you by what? Scarcity of resources, water, food. All right? To make you, because you're not going to be able to operate in society without this chip. All right? So he's going to cause you and put you in a corner to what? To receive this mark. Verse 17, and that no man, might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 636. And it says in Chi stigma, right? Well, no stigma, uh, and that was under so under 636. So stigma, a mark pricked in or branded upon the body. To ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander, branded or pricked, cut into the body, into